The most satisfying moment in boxing is when your favorite fighter lands that brutal knockout, jumping out of your seat. But in the history of the UFC and MMA, there are a few knockouts that didn't just end the fight, they almost ended the opponent's career. We're talking about kicks so powerful, they still make you wince when you watch them. In this video, you're going to see those insane moments like they just happened yesterday. Trust me, after seeing these knockouts, you'll be talking about them for months. So let's get into the moment that still gives everyone chills. I mean, this was more than just a knockout. It was an event that left everyone, and I mean everyone, staring at their screens in disbelief, mouths wide open. 5 seconds. That's all it took for Masvidal to launch himself across the octagon. We're not talking about your run-of-the-mill KO here. This was a flying knee that felt like it came from another dimension. Askren didn't even have a chance to react, let alone defend himself. It was over before it even began. Now here's the wild part. Masvidal didn't just throw this out there hoping it would stick. Nah, this was surgical. He knew exactly what he was doing. He studied Askren's wrestling, read his tendencies like an open book, and used all that fight IQ to deliver the most jaw-dropping knee in MMA history. It wasn't just the speed that made it insane, but the execution. And now, thanks to that knee, fighters step into the octagon with a whole new level of caution, especially if they're grapplers. Wrestlers have that moment playing on repeat in their heads. Askren charging in, takedowns without thinking twice. Now, did the UFC shake things up after that brutal KO? Not really in terms of the rulebook. No new no-flying knee policy or anything like that. But you know, it sparked some big talk about fighter awareness and how quickly things can spiral out of control. Spinning wheel kick at UFC 142, January 14th, 2012, was the night when Terry Etim, a solid fighter with plenty of experience, had his entire career redefined in the most brutal way possible. Here's the thing, a spinning wheel kick isn't something you see every day, and when you do, it rarely connects with this level of precision. This kick was perfection in motion. Most fighters wouldn't even dream of attempting something this risky unless they had absolute confidence. But Barboza, he made it look effortless, like he had this thing on autopilot. His technique was so smooth that if you blinked, you'd miss it. And that's the scary part. 1 second, Etim is standing there, minding his business, probably thinking about his next move, and the next, he's out cold, limp as a rag doll.
Here's the question, what do you want to do? Do you want to take a chance and risk getting knocked out? Oh my God! Wow!
Now let's talk about the aftermath, because it wasn't just a knockout. It sparked a whole conversation about fighter safety, head trauma, and whether or not anyone could ever stand in front of Barboza without octagon again. Not forget how this 142, everyone and their grandma wanted to replicate Barboza's magic. But here's the thing, no one has managed to pull it off quite like him. Sure, we've seen spinning kicks, but nothing as jaw-dropping, nothing as flawless. This wasn't just another knockout, it was a moment that redefined what we thought was possible in the octagon. The next in the list is none other than Francis Ngannou's uppercut against Alistair Overeem at UFC 218. If you've never seen this wrecking ball in action, people were immediately comparing it to a car crash. And honestly, that's not even an exaggeration. If cars could punch, this would be it.
To try to get a matchup with Ngannou. Goes the Reem. Francis Ngannou.
Now, what makes this uppercut even more legendary is that fighters like Ngannou are practically unicorns in MMA. You just don't see that combination of power, timing, and accuracy very often, if ever. Ngannou didn't just throw a wild punch and hope for the best. This was planned, timed, and delivered with the precision of someone who knew exactly what he was doing. The torque he generated in that split second, plus the fact that Overeem was coming forward, just created this perfect storm of destruction. But here's where it gets even crazier. Ngannou has only gotten better since then, into a level where he's not just relying on raw power. He's more precise, more calculated, and honestly even scarier. You hear the name Ngannou now, and all you think about is destruction. His uppercut against Overeem? That was just the beginning of his reign of terror. No one in the heavyweight division wants to be on the receiving end of that kind of power. Now let's take a trip down memory lane to one of the most iconic, savage, and downright ruthless knockouts in UFC history. Dan Henderson's legendary H-bomb on Michael Bisping at UFC 100. We're talking about July 11th, 2009, when Henderson delivered a knockout that would become the stuff of nightmares for Bisping and one of the most talked about moments in MMA. Henderson didn't just throw a punch. He unleashed a missile of an overhand right that connected so perfectly with Bisping's jaw, it was lights out before anyone could blink. The best, or worst, depending on how you see it, part, Henderson wasn't done yet. As Bisping's unconscious body was crashing to the canvas, Henderson, fueled by adrenaline, launched himself into the air and landed a vicious forearm straight to Bisping's defenseless face. That follow-up strike, man, it was pure savage. Fans were cringing and cheering all at the same time. Now, the reason this knockout stands out isn't just because it was brutal. No, it's because it was calculated. Henderson didn't just throw that H-bomb by chance. He spent the entire fight setting it up like a master tactician. And Bisping, bless his soul, made the ultimate mistake of circling right into it. I mean, Henderson couldn't have asked for a better setup if he'd scripted it himself. The punch landed so flush, so clean, Bisping didn't even know what hit him. That's the kind of knockout that doesn't come around often. And Henderson, he made sure no referee was stopping that fight early with that flying forearm, just to really seal the deal. Brutal? Yes. Iconic? Absolutely. Fast forward to today, and while the overhand right is still a popular weapon in the UFC, we probably won't see a knockout quite like this again anytime soon. Fighters have wised up. They're more defensive, more aware of how to protect themselves against this kind of devastating shot. But back then, Henderson's experience, his ability to wait for that perfect moment, and Bisping's poor decision to circle the wrong way all came together in one perfect storm of destruction. Fighters now train specifically to avoid getting caught like that, and for good reason. You don't want to be the guy who ends up on the wrong end of another H-bomb. And here is the last, but not the least, Anderson Silva's front kick knockout of Vitor Belfort at UFC 126. A moment so legendary, it's still being talked about over a decade later. In the first round, when everyone thought they were about to see a tactical chess match between two MMA legends, Silva casually unleashed a front kick that hit Belfort's chin like it had GPS-guided precision. 1 second he's standing there, probably planning his next move, and the next, boom! He's on the floor, completely dazed, staring into the void. The crowd? Losing their minds. The commentators? Speechless. And Silva? Probably thinking, yep, I practiced that 1,000 times and it paid off. What really made this knockout so unforgettable was the sheer rarity of it. A front kick knockout? In MMA? That was basically unheard of. It wasn't some overused, predictable move. This was Silva reaching deep into his bag of tricks and pulling out something completely unexpected. The timing had to be perfect. The accuracy had to be spot on. And Silva nailed both with the kind of finesse that only someone of his caliber could. If Belfort had leaned even a fraction of an inch in any direction, the kick might have missed or grazed him. But nope, Silva's foot connected like it was destined to. And the rest is history. And yeah, there have been countless brutal knockouts in the UFC and MMA world. But the ones we just talked about, they're hands down some of the most unforgettable, jaw-dropping moments ever. If you're into hearing more about crazy knockouts like these, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like.